welcome. I'm Randy Bueller, joined by a very dapper-looking Craig Wescoe. You're looking good, sir.
So do you.
I like the tie in particular.
Yeah, TCG player tie.
Very nice. Now, to the surprise of absolutely no one, you're playing a white weenie deck.
Yeah, I think if you pulled everyone in the room, not a single person would have me not on this deck for this tournament.
Yeah, but this deck is great, right? It seems like we're sort of starting with these deck tests, trying to go through the staple decks, the defining decks, the one that people knew were going to get played, and that have in fact turned out in pretty large numbers. I don't know if you're the most played deck or the second most played deck, but it's got to be up in those top couple.
Yeah, I'm sure it's, so powerful and so consistent.
Now, is it good for you when White Weenie has these amazing cards, or would you rather it be a little more under the radar?
Well, I'll take it.
Okay.
I mean, give me Declaration in Stone, give me all these really sweet one-drops, give me all these, I'll take it.
All right, I don't know. I've been listening to Ian Duke all day, who keeps saying that people are going to figure out how to play Languish, and he keeps talking about how Languish should come into the field somehow.
I'm fine with people playing Languish as long as it's in, the bottom half of their library.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, let's start looking at the deck. I call this slide the Savannah Lions.
Yep.
Did you think you'd ever get to play with 12 Savannah Lions?
Well, back before we realized there was a 4-card rule. I used to play with more than 4, but
Okay, that was like 1994 or so. You had more? Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be great to have all of these 2/1s, and they're not just vanilla 2/1s. I mean, Envoy is, but reasonable abilities, especially with Kithian.
Yeah, I mean, can block Dragon Lord Ojutai, the Dragon Hunter, and Kithian can flip into a Planeswalker, and I just played the mirror match, and I just had him attack all his guys in my bigger guy every turn until he had no board, and then I was just like, all right, kill you.
Oh, that's spectacular.
Yeah, so I mean, that's more than a Savannah Lion can do.
Yeah, and I couldn't fit all the 1-drops on one sheet. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
Got 11 of them there, and then here's another 10. So this is 21 1-drops?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you just want to jam all your creatures onto the table as fast as you can. And doesn't Anointer of Champions kind of look like Gabby Sparts a little bit?
Sure.
I don't know. She's been awesome, though.
I agree. We just
you can attack with all your guys, and then they try to block, and then you're just like, all right, well, whatever way you line up your blockers, I'm just going to pump my guy so that it's just things don't work out for your opponent trying to block.
Yeah, I saw Tom Ross had some success with this. Is that where this card came from?
Yeah, that's where we got the idea. Yep, Tom Ross.
No, he's a good guy to look for. He's the boss.
When the boss tells you to play White Weenie, I mean, I'll play White Weenie.
Boss Human's a totally reasonable name for this deck. Town Gossip Monger seems great. Thraben Inspector seems great. I don't know if this was supposed to be a constructed card, but it feels like the body, the creature type, and the ability to get to sack that clue token later are just, they add up to a great package for 1 mana.
Yeah, and once you get a pump effect, whether it's a Thalia's Lieutenant or an Always Watching or an Anafenza, then making it a 2/3 can really attack into stuff. So if the opponent has like a Sylvan Advocate and a Reflector Mage, you can just jam it in there and it's not trading.
Makes sense to me. Let's keep going, because we clearly haven't talked about enough creatures yet. The 2-drops. 11 more, 32 creatures total in the deck.
Yeah, Thalia's Lieutenant, kind of the reason to play the deck.
Yeah, this is really the signature card. This is the new thing that turned this into a Tier 1 archetype.
Exactly. That and Always Watching. And Knight of the White Orchid can catch you back up. So we have 18 lands in the main deck. So we're going to be stalled on 1 and 2 lands quite a bit. And we really want to cast Always Watching. And so once the opponent gets to 3 lands, Knight can function as a creature and a land, can get us to that 3rd land to cast our Always Watching.
Now, talk to me about Anafenza, because I haven't seen a ton of her. She's not a human.
Yeah. She's a spirit soldier, I guess. Yeah, so we wanted more Anthem effects, but Consul's Lieutenant was just kind of like, you had to get it through somehow, and then if you played it at the wrong time, things just don't go well. And so with Anafenza, you just run her out there, and then you run out all your other guys, and it just creates an Anthem effect.
Okay. So no Consul's Lieutenant in this list at all. Anafenza basically in that slot.
Yep.
Interesting. Let's keep going. And we get to some spells, presumably. There we go. And Always Watching is the one you've been talking about again and again and again.
Yeah. It's just the best card. I mean, you play it, all your guys get bigger to where the opponent doesn't have good blocks. You attack with all their guys. They can't really block, so they just take a big chunk of damage. And now they can't attack into you because all your guys are vigilant and ready to block. And then they're just like, all right, well, I don't know what to do. Like, I mean, Always Watching, it's Honor the Pure plus intangible virtue kind of mixed together in the same card. So it's really sweet in this deck.
I'm just disappointed they didn't call the card tangible virtue.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
Might have been confusing on some deck lists in Modern. You gotta be happy about a removal spell like Declaration in Stone too. I mean, as aggressive as this deck is, your opponents just aren't gonna have time to sacrifice that clue. It's just bang, kill it dead.
Yeah, it's like Maelstrom Pulse with the discount in this deck. I mean, because you just kill their blocker, or if they have two of the same blockers, which sometimes happens with like Sylvan Advocates and like later in the game with Bound and Krasis.
Sure.
Or even in the mirror match, if you're just trying to kill a key creature, like a Thalia's Lieutenant that's just getting really big, something like that, you just wait for them to have two of them on the board, and then you just 2-for-1 them, and then you can just like turn the corner and just like wreck them.
Nice. All right, let's get to the very complicated mana base. Period, the end.
Look, man, I
basics.
just want my lands to tap for white mana. I mean, that's all I've ever wanted.
Fair enough. Now, you were starting to talk to me about the Bant Company match. I definitely wanted to talk to you about that matchup. Is that, do you have to be the aggressor and kill them, and do they hope they hiccup on mana, or what's your read on that matchup from the human side?
Well, we're not going to outgrind them, so we don't just want to sit there and let both of us do what we want to do. We want to pressure them and force them to do things they don't want to do, like trade off their Sylvan Advocates before they become 4/5s. And we want to force them to Reflector Mage as a tempo card and not just as this like way to attack us for a whole bunch of damage.
Okay.
And so then whenever we get to a point where it's real complicated, every game goes differently. But yeah, you don't want to just give them a whole bunch of time. You want to make your guys slightly big enough to attack through in combat, so they can't get to a point where they have so many creatures they can start double blocking.
Got it.
So just force through enough damage to where they have to single block and trade, and like then they're trump blocking.
And Offense's got to help there.
Yeah, all the anthems are great. Always Watching's the key card. You have to protect it from Jamoka's command with Griff Spoon.
Okay, so you're up to 2 Griff Spoons, partially to defending Always Watch. There you go. Makes sense. Now, it's one of the most expected decks in the field, but you still feel pretty good about this? Is there a field you were expecting, or did it just not matter? You were sleeving this up one way or the other?
I mean, I was locked into White Weenie for 20 years, so I mean...
I guess the question is, how many of your teammates are running it too?
I don't know if I'm supposed to answer that question,
just as a percentage.
Yeah, like a few of us.
Sure.
For once, I'm not the only person on the team playing White Weenie.
Got it.
So that must mean that the deck's actually good.
That's what I was fishing for. I agree. Deck looks great. It's definitely one of the expected decks, but it's expected because it's really, really good. There you go. For Craig Wescoe, let's send it back over to Rich.